Hey everyone, this is Radiant. I'm going to be doing some videos to go over the archetypes in Ashes of Creation. Just to cover the basics and the abilities, that way if you're not in the Ashes Alpha 2, you can see what each of the archetypes do right now. And if you are in the Alpha 2, then it might be good to hear about archetypes you haven't played yet. I also think it'll be fun to look back on in the future and see where each of these archetypes were at the start of Alpha 2 and how far they've all come. I'm sure a lot will change, and speaking of, this is a true alpha, so many of these things can and will change quite a bit over time. One thing I would also like to mention, and I'll put this in each of my videos, is that a lot of people ask in global chat how they can move their abilities around once they're already on their action bar, and this includes your mount and items and mount abilities, things like that. There are 3 ways that I know of right now, but the first way is to just reopen your skill tree by pressing K, which is the default, I believe, and then the second way is by going down to the left side of your primary action bar and clicking the lock icon that's there. You can toggle locked and unlocked by clicking on that. And then the third way is by holding down right shift and then just simply dragging the action bar icons. So with that out of the way, I'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to start first on the Mage archetype. The Mage is one that I've played the most. I would say Mage or Bard, but I'm typically drawn to casters in other games like this, so I'll be starting there. Alright, first, with each of these we'll start off on the right-hand side. These are the abilities that come standard for each of the archetypes. You don't have to spec into them, you just get them at the requisite level. You can see here, level 1, level 5, and level 10. So here we have Elemental Empowerment. Remove your current Elemental Empowerment. So, Elemental Empowerment is when you cast an ability, like say Fireball. After you've cast that ability, you're attuned to fire basically. Your weapon combo finishers apply burning on up to 3 targets, and they also reset the cooldown of Fireball or Firebolt, whichever one you've chosen. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then if you use an Ice spell, you have Ice Empowerment, which allows your weapon finishers to apply Frozen to up to 3 targets if they're already chilled, and resets the cooldown of your Frostbolt. If you use a Lightning spell, you have Lightning Empowerment, which allows your weapon finishers to apply Volatile, arc to up to 3 nearby enemies, and reset the cooldown on Lightning Strike. So this ability here allows you to remove whatever empowerment you currently have and just go back to your baseline, which is what we're at now, and I think it's arcane damage. Alright, and moving up, we have Arcane Volley. Fire a volley of 7 arcane missiles at your target, dealing 35% arcane damage each. This one's pretty straightforward, just a nice little burst damage spell. And then next we have Illuminate. Conjure a circle of light around you that lights up your surroundings. I'm not sure if this has any real combat application, but it does generate a decent amount more light in dark areas. So if you're having trouble finding something, or if it's nighttime or you're in a cave and you're gathering resources, then it could be useful in that situation, but it's pretty niche. Alright, Arcane Eye. Conjure a magical eye above you that reveals any camouflaged enemies within a 20-meter radius to you and your party. Lasts 10 seconds. So this could be really useful in PvP. I know that the Ranger has a camouflage ability, and so it sounds like this would reveal the Ranger from their camouflage if they're within 20 meters of you. So this could be really good. Also, I don't know if we're going to have anything like that on the Rogue. I would assume so, but we haven't seen that archetype in Alpha 2 yet, so we'll just have to wait and see. So now moving on to the abilities in the major part of the tree. These are the ones that you actually have to put points into to unlock. And so we'll start here on the right side with Frostbolt. Launches a bolt of frost toward your target, dealing 250% ice damage and applying chilled. This can be a really good way to open up a fight. It's really good for kiting, and it also combos well with some other abilities that we'll get into a little bit later in the video. And so you can see, in order to unlock this part, we'd have to unlock Frostbolt first, and then you can get Shattering Shards. If Frostbolt hits a shocked target, Frost Shards will splinter off, hitting the original target and up to 3 additional nearby enemies for 150% ice damage. So basically, if you have an ability that applies shocked, or if you have an ally who has an ability that applies shocked, whenever you cast Frostbolt on that target, then it basically turns that into extra AoE damage, and it doesn't just deal damage to your target, but to enemies all around it. So you can see that shocked is in bold. That's a status effect. Ashes has a lot of those. And you can see what each of those things do by holding down left shift. I think that's the default, but I can't remember for sure if I changed that or not. But yeah, so if you hold down shift, you can see what shocked does, which is incoming direct attacks, proc an additional 25% lightning damage, and consume a stack. Lasts 6 seconds. Okay, moving on to Lightning Strike. Held ability. Charge up a bolt of lightning to unleash upon your target, dealing 100 to 300% lightning damage based on how long it was charged. Applies 5 stacks of shocked to target. So this one, you have to hold down the button, and the longer you hold the button, the more damage it's going to deal, up to that 2.5 second max cast. And you can also just tap the button if you don't really care about how much damage the lightning strike does itself, and you just want to enter lightning empowerment or to get stacks of shocked on the target that can be released, because they do cause your target to take additional damage, and then also just applies the status effect itself. So if you want to combo it quickly with this and the improved Frostbolt Shattering Shards from earlier, then you could just tap Lightning Strike to save yourself that 2.5 second charge up time. And then here you can see a plus icon. This actually means that if you left click it, you can choose one ability from a selection. So first there's Fireball. Hurl a ball of fire toward your target, dealing 350% fire damage and applying burning for 100% fire damage. And then the second option is Firebolt. Hurl a bolt of fire toward your target, dealing 125% fire damage and applying burning for 75% fire damage. 3 charges. So Fireball doesn't have any charges, it's just a normal spell, and then with a 12-second cooldown. And Firebolt goes on to an 8-second cooldown, but has those extra charges, so each charge has its own individual 8-second cooldown. They're also instant cast, as opposed to the cast time on Fireball, and so you are able to use those abilities, or those Firebolts more often, those charges more often, which means you can stack up and increase your burning effect duration, because it actually doesn't, as far as I know, the burning effect doesn't stack the damage, it just extends the duration with each subsequent application. So the trade-off is 1 big nuke with a 12-second cooldown, or 3 smaller, weaker abilities, but with an 8-second cooldown. Okay, moving to the next one, we have Cone of Cold. Blast a vortex of freezing wind in a cone in front of you, dealing 125% ice damage and applying frozen to targets with chilled. So I can hold down shift, and you can see that frozen means that a target cannot move or rotate for 4 seconds. And so chilled is just the slow, and obviously frozen is the hard CC. What's also interesting about frozen though is that not only can they not move, but they can't even rotate in place. So if you're, say, standing behind them at range, they can't use their ranged weapon attacks on you, and they also can't cast spells at you while they're frozen, which is actually pretty cool. And then we have Amplified Lightning Strike, which would augment our Lightning Strike ability. So now Lightning Strike applies up to 10 additional stacks of shocked based on its charge level when cast. Additionally, if cast at full charge, Lightning Strike will also hit other nearby targets at base power. So this allows you to generate more stacks of shocked, which again is that effect that allows you to proc more damage on each subsequent instance of direct damage. So you can apply more stacks of shocked with Amplified Lightning Strike, and you can also do a bit of AoE around your target if you charge it, and this is actually part of a combo that we'll get into towards the end of the video. Okay, Combust. Instantly combust your target, dealing 125% fire damage and applying conflict rating if they are burning. So conflict rating converts all remaining burning damage on the target into an accelerated dot lasting 4 seconds, and converted damage is additionally boosted by 30%. So if you take burning, which we can see here deals fire damage every second, lasts 8 seconds, or up to 24 seconds based on total applied burn. So if you have multiple abilities that would apply burning, then they don't stack like I was saying earlier, they just increase the length of time the dot is on the target. The main thing is that when you apply burning with an ability, like down here, you apply burning with Fireball, then you have 8 seconds of burn damage on your target. But if you use Combust, not only does it deal damage in and of itself, it deals 125% fire damage, but it takes that burning effect and it condenses it into a shorter time frame, which means that you're applying damage faster, and it also amplifies the damage by 30%. So it's actually a really, really strong combo with Fireball or Firebolt, or really anything that applies burning, and we'll get into more on that later. So the next row, we have Shell. Apply Shell. A protective magical shell surrounds you, absorbs 500% magical power worth of damage before breaking, lasts 15 seconds. So yeah, it's a nice, pretty standard shield spell. Blink. Instantly teleport 20 meters in the direction you're moving. Breaks all rooting effects. So that's another fairly standard spell for mages in a lot of games. Pretty self-explanatory. Just a good mobility spell. And then we can move up to the next row, and we can see the augment points you can put into your Cone of Cold. So this is called Tempestuous Cone of Cold. Cone of Cold pushes back enemies. So this one's nice for kiting and of course for PvP. So not only does it retain the effects of the base Cone of Cold, which will freeze targets if they're already chilled, but it also freezes them and then pushes them back, which is pretty cool. And then we have Shatter. When you deal lightning damage to a recently frozen target, they are dealt a bonus 300% ice damage. Shattered can only be triggered once every 4 seconds per caster against the same target. Okay, so this one's only useful if used in combination. So you would need to either combo off of somebody else that's frozen one of your targets, or you would need to apply frozen yourself. And like a few of the others, I'll go over this a little bit more in the combo section. So the next spell is Hoarfrost. Unleash a blast of icy wind at target location, dealing 125% ice damage and applying chilled. So this obviously is a nice way of applying chilled to a group of mobs or to mobs at a distance. It's also a good way of, you can slow enemies that are chasing you. It's got some decent utility built in. Okay, and moving on, the next is Enchant Weapon. Enchant up to one ally's weapon to match your current elemental empowerment. The enchantment will favor the greater of their magical or physical power stat. So correct me if I'm wrong, as I haven't actually tried this out myself. I've mostly been playing solo and testing things out that way, but it sounds like you would basically be giving the same elemental empowerment bonus that you have, like fire applying the burning effect, for example, to your ally's weapon, so they can apply those effects also. If that's how it works, that sounds actually pretty cool. But yeah, I'm not sure, so if you do know, please just feel free to let me know in the comments. Next we have Slumber. This applies incapacitated to targets in a small area around the primary target and lasts 10 seconds. So basically this is a 10-second CC, and actually it can be an AoE CC if there's multiple enemies around your primary target. And then we can also see that incapacitated means that they cannot move or act, and this effect breaks on damage taken. So 10 seconds isn't really all that long, actually. So it's less of a way of like locking something down for an extended period of time, and more of a way of just buying yourself a little bit of wiggle room to like maybe get your tank or someone to come over and get aggro off of you, or to combo it into something else. It's not really like Polymorph, for example, from WoW, where it will last basically forever, and you can use it to even pull. It's just kind of a quick, things are going wrong, panic button, and I need to buy myself a little bit of time, or like I said, if you want to use it to combo into something, I know that the Bard has an ability that can stun targets if they're incapacitated, so you could use it that way as well. Okay, so then we can move on to Blink augments. Accelerative Blink. After casting Blink, your next Fireball, Frostbolt, or Lightning Strike cast within 3 seconds casts instantly. So that's actually pretty neat, but it's pretty self-explanatory as well. This could be useful in PvP, kiting, also if you're just repositioning in a fight, in like a boss fight, avoiding some AoE damage or something, it helps make up for that time that would have been lost by making your next major spell an instant cast. And then the next one is Unyielding Blink. Blink breaks all disabling effects on the caster. So this could obviously be super useful in PvP, but it could also be useful in PvE encounters. I don't know exactly what those are all going to entail. Obviously, nobody does. We haven't seen a ton yet in Alpha 2, but I could totally see bosses having some sort of incapacitate or stun or something that you could blink out of with this upgrade. All right, moving up to the next row, we have Chain Lightning. Release a powerful streak of lightning that hits your primary target and then chains outward to up to 5 nearby enemies from that target, dealing 175% lightning damage to each, and applies 10 stacks of Shocked to targets with Volatile. Okay, so this is a pretty self-explanatory chain lightning ability that deals AoE damage effectively. The only different part about it would be applying Shocked to targets with Volatile. So if we hold down Shift, we can see, okay, it actually doesn't tell us what Volatile does. I think off the top of my head, Volatile reduces your target's magical mitigation by a certain percentage. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what it does. Yeah, there's quite a few status effects in Ashes, and so hopefully they add that description to the tooltip on this ability. Then we have Ball Lightning. Create a large ball of charged electricity that travels slowly forward, rapidly dealing 50% lightning damage and applying Volatile to enemies it overlaps with. Oh, there we go. There's Volatile. So yeah, it decreases your target's magical mitigation by 15%, which means that they're going to take more magical damage, not just from you, but from any source that deals magical damage. Lasts 6 seconds, and duration can be extended up to 15 seconds by subsequent applications. So this is actually, Ball Lightning is actually one of my favorite mage abilities that I've used so far. So what's really cool about Ball Lightning, especially I found when I'm soloing elites, like 1 and 2 star, the 1 and 2 star goblins, is that you can actually throw the Ball Lightning out in one direction and then run along, or actually just slightly in front of it, and you'll effectively drag the elite that's trying to attack you, as long as it's one of the melee ones, through the Ball Lightning for the entire duration, or almost the entire duration. So essentially it stays in the Ball Lightning, and it takes like, I think at level like 7 in a previous playtest, I was able to get up to like 12 or 1300 damage from a single Ball Lightning cast. And that's just on one target. Obviously, it does AoE damage, and so if you've got a big group of mobs, then you could use it there as well to really, really great effect. Definitely a super fun ability. Also, it just looks amazing. And then we have Magma Field. Erupts the earth at target location, forming a boiling pool of lava that deals 50% fire damage and applies burning at 50% fire damage power every 2 seconds to enemies within the area. Lasts 8 seconds. Okay, so this one is an AoE, basically a way of applying burning to an entire area, which is really nice, but, just another AoE ability that you can use. It's not too crazy from what I've seen so far. But like I said, I've mostly been soloing, and generally speaking, when I'm soloing, things are chasing me, and I'm trying to stay out of melee range, so I don't really get to keep things in one location for very long, which is why I really like Ball Lightning. But so Magma Field obviously benefits from your targets standing in it as long as you can get them to stand in it. So yeah, this one would have much more utility, much more use in group play. But all right. Next row. This one would be the upgrade for your Chain Lightning. It's called Aftershock. Casting Chain Lightning on a primary target with Staggered causes the attack to trigger twice. So that's actually huge. If you have one target that's staggered, you can effectively just double Chain Lightning them with one cast. That's insane if you've got a group of mobs, like especially if you're AoE grinding, or if, either in a group or individually. But there's also some combos that you can pull off with this that we can talk about later as well. All right, the next one is Thermal Equilibrium. Whenever you apply Frozen to a target, refresh the duration of your applied conflagrating statuses on that target. Okay, so this one's actually interesting because it's, as you could guess by the name, it has to do with two opposing temperatures. So we've got Frozen, and then we've got conflagrating. So anytime you freeze a target in place, you would refresh the duration on conflagrating, which is your way of amplifying burning that we looked at earlier. So this sounds really interesting. I haven't gotten to test this out too much in this playtest. The only thing I could see this being kind of difficult to set up because the duration of conflagrating is actually pretty short. That's really part of the benefit of it, is that it amplifies your burning damage, but it also shortens the window, which means that each tick of damage is higher, and so obviously so your damage is higher. It only lasts 4 seconds. So by using Thermal Equilibrium at the last second, it could be really useful because conflagrating is a really strong dot, but it might be a little bit difficult to pull off with such a small window. If you go to the next one, we have Blizzard. Channel a massive blizzard around you, raining a barrage of hail shards upon your enemies. While channeling, periodically pulses chilled to targets within the area. Each shard impact deals 50% ice damage in a small area around it and applies Frozen to targets with chilled. Okay, so this one again is another staple of the Mage in a lot of games, this Ice Storm ability. So this one's pretty cool because you can actually freeze targets that you've already chilled instead of just reapplying the slow, which is really awesome. So then we have Prismatic Beam. Channel a powerful beam in front of you that periodically deals 50% magical damage and has additional effects based on your elemental empowerment. So for fire, it gives a 33% chance to apply burning for 100% fire damage. For ice, it gives a 33% chance to apply chilled. For lightning, a 33% chance to trigger an arcing bolt that bounces up to 2 times, dealing 35% lightning damage and applying volatile to each target. And arcane, which is just no empowerment. Each hit drains 5 mana per target, returning up to 27 mana to the caster. This one is an awesome looking ability from the previous tests that we've done. I haven't gotten to test this one too much, but this ability was really strong in the past, and it sounds like they've only made it stronger because they've actually added these elemental empowerment effects to it, which it didn't have before. So I'm really excited to try this one out. Seems really cool. The next one is Arcane Circle. Place a powerful rune of magic upon the ground beneath you that grants you arcane might while standing within. Lasts 15 seconds. Okay, and arcane might means that you gain 30% increased magical power, and additionally, you can stack multiple different elemental empowerments while this effect is active. That is amazing. So not only do you get 30% increased magical power by itself, which is crazy, but you can actually also have multiple different empowerments running at the same time. So if I'm reading this correctly, you could throw the Arcane Circle down, cast a lightning spell, and then cast a fire spell, then use your Prismatic Beam, and as far as I know, then not only would you get the benefits of the lightning empowerment, you'd also get the benefits of the fire empowerment on that Prismatic Beam. And you could stack up even more empowerments than that, but that sounds insane. That sounds really amazing. Okay, and the second to last one is called Fuse. Your applied burning statuses are 50% more powerful when applied to targets with Shocked. Okay, cool. So this one is another one that benefits combo abilities. So you would use something to place Shocked first. I think we've got a few lightning statuses that apply Shocked. So like Chain Lightning, for example. and then applying any burning statuses, it increases that burning by 50%, which is massive. So if you chain lightning something to give that target shocked, you hit that target with like a fireball, for instance, to apply burning. Not only does that burning now increase by 50%, but if you use combust after that, that takes that conflict rating and increases the burning damage by another 30% on top of that. So that's actually an insane combo, a huge dot. Stacking up all the fire damage like that actually kind of reminds me a little bit of stacking Ignite back from Classic WoW. Okay, so last ability, Pyromania. Magma Field casts faster and ticks 2 additional times. So this is our upgrade for Magma Field, obviously. Pretty straightforward. You can cast Magma Field faster, and it helps you stack your burning duration a little longer. So maybe you could use that in combination with Combust or something. And somehow I missed one. I missed Bombardment. This is a great enhancement for our Fireball or Firebolt. So Firebolt gains 25% bonus direct damage, and Fireball gains a bonus 100% to its burning damage. And that alone makes this well worth the point. However, it has the added bonus of allowing our Fireball or Firebolt to apply staggered. This combos perfectly with Aftershock, which allows our Chain Lightning to trigger twice on staggered targets. So Bombardment is definitely not a skill you want to be missing out on, especially once you're high enough level to unlock Aftershock. But alright, okay, let's get on to combos now. So the first one's pretty simple. You're going to use Fireball or Firebolt, and then use Combust. The Fireball or Firebolt will apply burning, and then Combust will turn that burning status effect into conflict rating for higher DPS. Next, we have Frostbolt into Cone of Cold. The first part of this combo works with any spell that applies the chilled status effect, which slows the target, and then you use Cone of Cold to freeze that target or targets in place. And another good simple combo is Lightning Strike into Arcane Volley. So this combo provides a nice amount of burst, because Arcane Volley not only does it deal damage itself, but it also quickly triggers all the stacks of Shocked, or at least up to 7, because that's how many Arcane Missiles are fired out. So it would quickly trigger up to 7 of your stacks of Shocked on the target, which each deal additional damage. And then these next ones will start to get a little bit more complicated. We have Blink into Lightning Strike, into Firebolt or Fireball, into Combust. So this one's especially good if you have Accelerative Blink. That's actually the main reason I feel like you would use this. So that allows you to cast a fully charged Lightning Strike almost instantly. So you would blink away to gain distance if you need it, then hold down Lightning Strike with Accelerative Blink. If you hold down Lightning Strike, it casts the fully charged version within about a quarter to half a second. But if you just tap it, at least right now, if you just tap it, even when you have the Accelerative Blink buff, it only does the uncharged version of Lightning Strike. So you do have to hold it down, but it's, like I said, it's only for like a split second. And then it'll cast the fully charged version. And then after that, you would follow up with either Fireball or Firebolt, and then use Combust. Next, we have Lightning Strike to give ourselves Lightning Empowerment. Then we use our weapon attacks until our finisher applies Volatile to the target. Then we use Firebolt or Fireball into Combust. So this gives you a really strong boost to your damage by applying Volatile, which reduces your target's magical mitigation by 15% before going into the rest of your combo, so it's sort of buffing the rest of your combo. And then another combo that makes use of our weapon empowerment is Frostbolt to apply Chilled. Then you would use your weapon attacks until the combo of finisher applies Frozen to the chilled target. Then we can make use of the Shatter talent for our Lightning Strike to deal extra damage. And then top that off with Arcane Volley to proc all the charges of Shocked that were applied by Lightning Strike. A good AoE combo is Hoarfrost into Cone of Cold into a fully charged Lightning Strike. So this combination uses Hoarfrost to chill your targets all at once, and then you would use Cone of Cold to freeze them all, and then you would hit one of them with a fully charged Lightning Strike to shatter them and deal AoE damage around your target. This, of course, requires you to put points into Amplified Lightning Strike and Shatter. And importantly, after you've frozen your targets in place, you want to select the target that's most central to the group. That way, when you use your fully charged Lightning Strike on it, you're hopefully going to hit all of the targets around it with the AoE damage, because that AoE lightning damage will proc Shatter on all of those targets as well. And I just wanted to go over a quick tip. I'll put this in all of my videos on my archetype guides just to give you a tip on weapon combos. So if you move your mouse down to the bottom left and hover over your weapon icon, you can see exactly what it does. So you can see here that the greatsword does slash damage, and you can see how much slash damage it does per attack. You can also see the chance of triggering a deadly finisher and what that deadly finisher does. And if you swap weapons, I have a spellbook in my range slot, you can see exactly what the spellbook does, and obviously this applies to all weapons. So this is great not only for seeing exactly what each attack does in a combo, but it's also very helpful for figuring out how many attacks are in a combo, because the number of attacks before a finisher is different for some of the weapons. Some of them are 3 attack combos, some of them are 4 attack combos, etc. And weapon attacks from the spellbook, for example, bounce to nearby enemies, and that's something you wouldn't know if you just read the description or moused over the spellbook in your inventory. You would only know if you mouse over your equipped weapon to the left of your action bar. And I'll put this in all of my guides. I know I recorded this on my Mage, but I'll put this same clip in all the guides for the archetypes because I think it's super useful, and I don't think it's mentioned anywhere in-game. And that is the Mage as it stands at the start of Alpha 2. I hope you guys liked it. We just went over a few combos there at the end, but I'm sure there's a ton of others that I didn't pick up on, so if you have some that you really like and I didn't cover, please leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. I haven't really done, well, this is actually the first video I've ever done for YouTube. And so I was initially just going to record the ability trees just for myself to look back on later, just to see how things have changed. I feel like that's always fun. But then my wife was saying, well, since you're recording the videos, you might as well go over them and just post them anyways. And so that's kind of the main reason why I'm doing this. But so, yeah, if you guys have any helpful feedback for me, I'd love to hear it. So if you could leave that in the comments too, that'd be great. So I think this week I'm planning to also put out a Bard video, and then I'll try to get out Tank and Fighter as well. And then the following weekend after that, I was thinking of doing the last two, Cleric and Ranger. But yeah, hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you next time.